All right. Good evening, all. Thanks for hanging out again with Bigfoot Society Live. This is your host, Jeremiah Byron. We've got a very awesome episode tonight. We'll be talking in a few minutes with Doug Hajicek from the show MonsterQuest, and that will be an awesome time. So just want to make sure that everything sounds good. But a few big announcement. Of course, if you're listening to this, as of tomorrow, you have 1 week until the Van Meter Visitor Festival. So we hope to see you in beautiful Van Meter, Iowa, 20 minutes west of West Des Moines, Iowa. It's a great time. I do see someone is hanging out with us. If you could do me a favor and let me know in the chat if you can hear me. And if things sound good. So if anyone's in the chat right now, if they could go ahead and just type in there, hey, sounds good. And once we hear that, we'll get going. So again, we have a really good show with, we got Hey Strangeness, we got Aaron. Sounds great, brother. Well, let's get going then. So here we go. All right, Doug Hajicek, thanks for hanging out with us. It's a pleasure to have you on the program tonight. If people don't know, of course, Doug is known for many things. If you're just getting into the Doug Hajicek lore, you may know him from things such as MonsterQuest and Sasquatch Legend Meets Science, but you've done a lot over the last, I would say, your career spans about 30 years, right, Doug?
Yeah, it's been it seems like 2, but it's been 30.
That's true. Well, that's how life goes, right? I hear anyways. I mean, you've done things such as so you've been a TV producer, TV show creator, you're an inventor, and also a wildlife researcher. The list goes on and on. Literally, the list that you sent over goes for a few pages. It's very, very cool. I think the common thread through all the things you do is it seems like you have a huge drive to create. Is there a common factor? Like, what is your motivation to create or even to help things through your inventions?
Whoa, that's a tough question. Because I do so many different things, I'm changing gears all the time. Like I had mentioned right before I got on the phone with you, I was in a big meeting with all these IVF scientists about IVF and, some of the new things with, procreation, because things have changed. I'm working on a TV show on all of the breakthroughs that are happening with DNA, with, gene splicing and using CRISPR and selecting embryos of certain qualities to weed disease out. And I'm really interested, and I just happen to know a bunch of people that are involved in that. And so that just gives you an idea. It's when I can get involved in anything, it's about learning.
Okay.
But then I have this part of me too that likes to just create, just to do it. I've done a number of holographic inventions. We got toys on the market, which have nothing to do with Bigfoot or.
You have toys on the market?
Sure.
Okay.
So I'm just, I don't sleep much. And I'll just get ideas and I'll just start testing them. And I remember the last toy that I invented, I literally woke the president of a toy company up in California up in the middle of the night. Because I had the guy's number. I'd never called him. I'd never met him. Had his number. I just woke him up in the middle of the night just because I was so excited and what I wanted to show him live. And he got up and he looked at it and he was like, "Oh my God, that's so amazing!" And next thing you know, we're traveling to Japan.
What toys?
Oh, it was a thing for Tomy Toys, a holographic thing where race cars pull in, these little holographic pit crew come in.
Really?
And, change the tires. Keeps track of, the lap times. And then it recognizes the car. So it's a combination of augmented So I had this idea of combining augmented reality with holograms.
Mm.
And people have seen like the Pokemon games. You got to look to your phone.
Pokemon Go, stuff like that.
Well, that's cool. You look into your phone, but I'm like, heck no. I can do augmented reality where you don't need a phone.
You can?
Yeah. So I had this idea.
Oh my goodness.
To where, the augmented part would be where it would recognize an object, but then I could point map holograms around it.
Whoa.
That you don't need glasses or whatever. And so that was wild. Just, one example of stuff I'll do. Some of it has nothing to do with wildlife. And I don't even know where the ideas come from. Sometimes it's just more of combining ideas. Does that make sense? So I've been really good at taking existing technology and going, okay, we've got the camera that can recognize GPS coordinates, right? And implant a 3D object. Well, why not use that technology to, recognize an object and trigger holograms? So I'll get that idea and I'll just start building. It could be 2 a.m. and I'll just start building stuff and doing stuff. And I get excited to see it work.
It's very Tony Stark like, Doug. It's crazy. It's very cool. I got 1,000 things in my mind right now. So it's very close to in Star Wars when you see the Princess Leia hologram. Right. You could actually
I've already done it. Yeah, no, I can do it.
I guess they do it in concerts, right? Yeah.
I wrote to Mattel and said, you've got all these action figures. I can bring them to life. Because I can point map swords and objects, and I never even got a response back.
What?
Even though I already had a toy on the market, there was no response.
That's crazy.
But that's crazy. It's a tough. Sometimes just it works out great. Sometimes it doesn't. And applied for a patent pending and still waiting for that to all come through.
So looking through the resume you sent over, I want to say there was I counted maybe 36 items that you've invented. Do you have a certain one that this is a tough one that you're most proud of, or that you really enjoy?
Yeah. I invented it was a co-invention. Once again, I like to combine things.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Working with a chiropractor, we came up with an idea and how to do it and how to prevent people from getting neck surgery by just simply giving them safe traction that they could do at home by just laying on the ground.
Okay.
It would grab the back of the skull and then use your own body weight to put you in traction. So it's safe because you're using your own body weight. You can't pop your own head off.
Oh, sure.
You don't have to hang. You don't have to anything. And so that got done, and, the prototype got built, and I did my end and he did his end, and, we combined them. And next thing you know, we ended up getting HMO approval. And to this day, I've got, there's crews making them right now.
And constantly helping people.
Yeah. Oh, I've prevented.
That's got to feel awesome.
At least 100,000 people from getting neck surgery.
100,000 people?
At minimum, yeah. Maybe it might even be over 1 million. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, you don't really know those answers because I know for sure because it was really interesting. My neighbor was telling me about her, his wife, is going to have to get neck surgery. But they said, well, we got this new device. We're going to try. And I said, oh, well, that must be the, the home track unit. And he's like, yeah. And I said, oh, cool. Well, let me know how it goes.
You had no idea it was you.
6 weeks later, she said, oh, she doesn't need surgery anymore. That's really cool.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I love that. People hanging out in the audience. If so, me and Doug will be chatting for a while. But if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and I will be bringing those in eventually. So, being a wildlife researcher, we're kind of talking off camera about how you're actually going out and getting shots of different animals, right?
Right.
Do you have a specific time when you were out trying to get a shot of an animal and you're like, I can't believe I got that shot? Or maybe it was the first time that type of shot had been gotten. Do you have anything that sticks out to you?
You have hundreds of things like that.
Oh, wow.
I was at a very young age, I was surprised at all of the things we didn't know about wildlife and that there was no scientists even working on. For instance, what goes on in a beaver lodge.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
In a wild beaver. I'm not talking at the zoo. I'm talking wild beaver lodge when no one's around. What goes on all year? What happens in there? Because it's like looking into another dimension. So those are the things I like to do.
Okay.
What happens at the bottom of the ocean, at 52,000 feet with nobody around? What happens to dissolved oil when there's an oil spill? What really goes on at the bottom of the Gulf when they have an oil spill?
Wow.
Things like that. I'm always trying to build things that can give us a peek at other dimensions, because that's the way I look at them. We always talk about there's other dimensions around us. Oh my God, well, there's other dimensions that are obviously really around us. They're just shields. They're totally dimensional by shields, by lighting conditions, by things like that. And there's so many things that happen, like in the forest. Let's just talk about the forest.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any idea how many things actually happen in the forest that we have no idea?
A lot more, yeah.
No scientists have ever seen, just by placing cameras. I'm not talking like game trail cameras. I'm talking about, I've got, I'm working with a guy. We've got artificial intelligence cameras.
Oh, really? Explain that.
All over in the forest right now.
Okay.
And I can look right now by my phone. I can watch any number of 8 cameras. And literally, I swear, every day I see something new. I did not know that was happening. Or an animal, even an animal. For instance, we filmed maybe the world's first silver deer. It's silver.
A silver deer, really?
It's not. Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, there's a phenomenon called piebald deer, which can be kind of multicolored.
Yep, I've heard of that.
They're rare. They're rare, but maybe not that rare. But this is not a piebald deer. That's silver. It's a complete genetic. There's been white deer filmed, albino deer. I filmed them myself, but this is a silver deer.
Oh man,
and
that is cool.
Or we see behaviors with flying squirrels the other day that we've never seen.
Oh, I'm interested in that. What kind of weird stuff did you see with the flying squirrels? Because I used to see those as a kid. Yeah.
But yeah, I used to do a little trick. If you go into the forest and you talk, just in a nice soft tone, where there's a lot of flying squirrels, they'll land on you.
Really?
For some odd reason, they feel comfortable and safe if they can hear you.
Okay.
And I recommend anybody can do this. Just go into the forest and just where there's flying squirrels, where they're around, and just sing, talk, whatever, and they'll start piling on all over you.
It'll be like an old Disney film.
It's like a Disney film. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been covered with 50, 60 squirrels.
No, you haven't?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the moment you're quiet, they all take off.
So what's the top squirrels you've had on you?
Oh, I've had at least 50 squirrels on me. Just piled all over me. Yeah. They're on my face.
But Doug, you got to get that picture, because that would go nuts.
Well, I have film. We were filming. It was one of the first times I was actually using IR cameras. Okay. IR had never been on television before. And so I didn't invent the technology, but I was the first to ever use it on broadcast television.
Okay. It
was infrared, and I remember even executives flying in from Animal Planet, in early days.
Oh, wow.
To come look at it, because they had never even heard of it, And so one of my first things I did was went out to go film flying squirrels.
Okay.
And I brought a buddy with me. Well, we were talking. And as we were talking, one landed on me, and then another and another. Then all of a sudden we were quiet, and they all took off. So I'm like, Joe, let's keep talking. And next thing you know, as long as we just kept the conversation going, they just more and more kept. I don't know why.
Is that up in Minnesota that happened?
Minnesota, yeah. Yep, yeah.
Okay, that's wild.
But that's just one example of hundreds of
just things
that nobody knows about.
Oh man.
For instance,
I want to.
For instance,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to mention we like we were talking about beaver lodge. So we worked 2 years to get a camera in a beaver lodge.
2 years.
We had to do it over the winter, yeah. Because we had to
Wow.
chisel by hand because you can't cut with a chainsaw. You're gonna scare the beavers out of there, God knows what. So you just got to do a little bit at a time. So we finally I invented this kind of a double-walled tube system for spying on bears and bear dens and beavers and beaver lodges. Sure. And it was a way where I could pull the camera out. It was sealed, and pull the camera out and clean it and then put it back. Because you can't have air leakage like in a beaver lodge. Because they're just going to seal it up. They're going to cover your lens up right away.
Sure.
So, anyhow, it wasn't even 10 minutes. And we're watching muskrats in there. No beavers.
Oh, okay.
15 minutes later, a big beaver comes in. And the muskrats right away start grooming the beaver and drying the beaver off.
Wow.
And we're like, this is historical. Yeah. Heat from the ground to heat its home. Builds a home, changes the environment, right? Because it builds a dam, changes the environment. And apparently it's got a pet. Another mammal, just like people.
Yeah. How crazy is that?
But that's just an example of things that always amazed me that scientists hadn't already discovered. Like the squid, getting footage of the first giant squid that we got.
That's true. That's a huge milestone in your career.
Yeah, it was, but on the same token, to me, it was just no big deal. It was just common sense. It was just total common sense. And I really think the Bigfoot mystery can be a common sense. Tells me there's millions of things yet to try.
Okay.
Just common sense.
One invention. I want to say you'll have to verify this, but one thing that your name is on that is getting a lot of traction in a lot of areas is the pheromone chip. Speaking of Bigfoot. So is that something you invented with someone else, or?
Yeah, well, it was my idea. Okay. Yeah, it was my idea.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a long story behind it, but basically I was supposed to go on an expedition with Matt Moneymaker and Rick Knowles for the Skookum expedition.
Oh, sure.
But I wanted to do something, bring something to the table. Everybody should always bring something to the table that's new or
I like that.
Different. And so I thought, I want to do a sex pheromone for Bigfoot. Well, we don't have Bigfoot sex pheromones, so you figure you got to use some great ape, and you've got to use human because I figure they're half and half. So I called a friend of mine who I knew was a scent expert and a scientist and a real creative guy, and called him up, and I couldn't go on the expedition suddenly because I found out my son was going to get married.
Ah, right.
During the expedition, I'm like,
good call, Doug.
I can't do it. So I called Greg.
Yeah,
in my place. And by the way, can you make a sex pheromone for a Bigfoot?
Yeah, just by the way,
you just call your buddy up and you just say, "Can you do it?" But here's one thing about Greg. It wasn't even 1 minute. He goes, "Sure, I can do that. In fact, I think I have all the ingredients in my basement because I conducted a study in the 70s on human pheromones and this and in great apes." And he goes, "Yeah, I've got all the enzymes and all the stuff I need right downstairs."
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Perfect. So I knew who to call.
And there you go. And now people like Alex Petikoff are taking them up in a drone, and and like there's another great example of thinking outside the box. And well,
what I think is interesting is I'm looking at a picture of the Skookum cast right above me here.
Sure.
That didn't exist, and there was a pheromone chip hanging above the mud wall. Was it the sex pheromone that got that thing initially interested in the area, and then it saw the apples? You follow me, so we'll never know. But I'm proud because it may have had a hand in getting the body cast.
That's and so we want to also. So my buddy Tate says, yes, he pioneered the idea of using Doug's pheromone chips and tying them underneath the drone, and Petikoff used his drone for the maiden voyage. So there we go. History is The proper history has been restored. Thank you, Tate. Tate's a good friend.
And, it's up to people to figure out how to use these things.
Oh, yeah, totally.
You need to figure out, how to do it creatively.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's dive into MonsterQuest. Can you give me a little bit the history about how MonsterQuest came about? I mean, it's such a show that this current generation, I would say my generation, and a lot of other generations too. I mean, that's what got them into the cryptid, the Bigfoot world. Like, that's it. It's crazy.
I wanted to do a show on Gigantopithecus.
Okay.
Called Giganto.
There you go.
It went nowhere. I pitched it. My agents pitched it to all the, all the obvious, cable networks, and they pitched it to NBC and blah blah blah. It got nowhere. Then one day I'm sitting at home, and just like a lightning bolt, I went, "The damn thing's the real King Kong. Why aren't they interested?"
Right.
And then I went, "Oh, the real King Kong. Oh, okay. So I'll change the name."
Yeah, it's all in the marketing, right?
Well, I have my agents repitch it. So he pitched it to NBC. NBC immediately said, "We want it."
Wow.
Because I think they had a part in the new King Kong movie by Peter Jackson.
Oh, sure.
A stake in that or something. And they're like,
okay. Yep.
And then they backed out because everybody signed off on it, except even all of Europe signed off on it. And then the president vetoed it.
Weird.
Whatever.
Weird.
So then it got passed to History Channel because NBC owned a stake in History Channel. So then History Channel did it. And of course I made the show, Giganto, the real King Kong.
Right.
And it broke all the records in the ratings. It was their highest rated show ever. And they called me up like the next day, my executive producer, and said, "Can you make more of these?"
Like a lot more?
And I'm like, "Hell yeah."
Yeah.
So
like 60 more.
and yeah, like how many do you want?
Yeah.
And so that was a quick answer. And then we started just negotiating, the budget and, terms and all those kinds of things. And MonsterQuest was born.
That's awesome. What were you using? Were you using certain things as resources to like plan out the episode? Because the episodes go everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, or were you just like, let's do this, this, and this, or like, what was your motivation?
It's kind of just one. I wanted to do topics where there was evidence.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, mainly evidence. But then as the show went on, they were like, well, maybe that's not so important. I pushed in a little pushback on that, and towards the end, I was doing. I did some shows I didn't want to do. Like Killer Jellyfish. Nothing to do.
So maybe not on the top.
So people thought, well, I've run out of ideas. No, not what happened. It was just it was just the network. Sometimes you get certain people that decide they're gonna they know better than you, and they're just going to kind of ram ideas, and just whatever. You do the best you can to support it. But when I had to do shows like that, I thought, it's not totally my cup of tea.
Did you have some shows that come to mind that were your favorite, or that you think are highly like a huge milestone for the community? Or
my favorite was always the one I was just finishing. Well, certainly, things like where we filmed the first, shark in fresh water, 12-foot shark by a guy's walleye fishing dock. Shouldn't be sharks there.
No.
We actually did get footage of a 12-foot shark,
wow.
Using a bunch of different technologies, including LiDAR, radar, sonar, and all sorts of things. But no, I really can't say there's any like one show other than the squid, which was cool. But to me, the squid show was very disappointing because I would have thought the network would have gotten, a little more excited about it. And it took a number of years. And finally, on their own, they did a 2-hour show about that footage. And they took MonsterQuest, two of the MonsterQuest series, went out and shot a little bit of additional information, new interviews, and put it all together. And it's called Predators of the Deep.
Okay.
And it's the one that it's on History Vault right now, but it's the one that confirms it was the first Architeuthis ducks ever filmed.
That's awesome.
In the
That
wild.
is very
They're all
awesome.
living. Yep. So so the reward on that took 16 some years.
16 years. That's wild.
Yeah.
So I would say, so I've talked to a lot of people in the community, and the one episode that always comes up, what do you think it is?
Sasquatch attack.
It's the Snellgrove Lake
Sasquatch
one.
attack.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know what I love it myself. I don't know what it is, but people love that story, the Snellgrove Lake story.
One, it's real.
It's so good.
They can put themselves into that situation.
Yeah.
Because this was a place I just went to for my happy spot. It was where I went to get away as a vacation when I was working long, 15-hour days on MonsterQuest. Then I would fly up to get away. No cell phones, no internet, no radio waves. I couldn't listen to anything. That was just, you go up and you just go back in time. So that was my place. And then we brought my daughter up. Joe brought his daughter up, which we never did because moms were too worried. So we would get hurt or be, injured and not be able to get help. But I argued and won, and we brought all of our daughters up, and that's when all the action started. Kids.
No way.
Yep.
Oh, man. So this is prior to the episode.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Whew. Do you have any?
It was based on children, I believe, drawing these things in near and getting their attention for some reason. We've heard those stories so many times.
Yep.
The Memorial Day footage. The real story,
the
Memorial Day footage, is Lori and Owen Pate and other campers had their kids. They were all just playing because I even went there. I camped there too with my daughter. And there was this kind of a meadow. And it's just a super meadow for kids to play. And so even my daughter joined in and they're all playing. They were just having a ball. Well, this Bigfoot came in to watch these kids hide behind a tree, which I believe was a female with a child of its own.
Okay.
They had seen it. They had spotted this thing spying on their kids twice. And they were then at that point, they were getting freaked out. They were a little bit ready. And that's when that thing runs across the side of the mountain. And at the very end, you can see it lift up what looks like an infant, pops up on the back.
Exactly. Yep.
So that's the backstory on that. And I got to know Owen and Lori Pate and everybody involved, Art Lyons and all those guys. That was the real deal. Plus meeting the Bureau of Land Management up there. Even they had found tracks too.
Really?
In cow pies.
Oh man.
They had found Bigfoot footprints in cow pies where people were, renting BLM land to graze their cattle in the forest. And they would find these. They would go to mark trees then, and they would say, "Gee, here's a frozen cow pie, but look at this human big footprint in it."
That'd be wild. Can you imagine seeing a Bigfoot footprint in a cow pie?
Yeah.
Like I grew up in New England, so I know what a cow pie looks like because is near Vermont. But that'd blow me away seeing a Bigfoot footprint. It'd be a huge cow pie.
Well, they're very detailed, and in manure, you find one in the forest, and you find its clear footprint, and then it's frozen. Now you collect it and dry it, and they had numbers of cow pie footprint finds.
Do you have any fun memories from like the actual filming of that episode, the Snellgrove Lake, or like a favorite like part of it?
Yeah, you want to know? I'll tell you what my favorite moment when I had kind of given up hope because it was raining. And here I've got Jeff Meldrum up. I've got U of M scientist with. So we're prepared to at least have some good, credible witnesses up there. And I walked out after 3 days of rain, feeling pretty hopeless. Like, it's not going to happen. And then a rock ricocheted off the shed. This is and rolls up to my feet. And I just remember thinking, they're here.
It's go time. Yeah.
I went in and told everybody, and I'm sure they were like, yeah, right, sure. But it's pretty hard to mistake a rock ricocheting at 60 miles an hour off the shed from the forest, exactly, and then rolling up to my feet. And it was just, I don't know if it was a signal or, but the fact that it ricocheted and rolled to my feet, that whatever threw the rock knew, I mean, it went within an inch of my foot, the rock.
Oh man, that's wild. I love that. I'm gonna watch it tonight. That
was my highlight when that rock hit that shed, because I knew that we had a chance at having activity. I don't think Bigfoot's like the rain. I'll be honest. I've experienced this numerous times where we've
really
gone on expeditions in a very active area and there's no activity, and it's just raining, not even heavy rain, just raining. And then the rain quits and it's nuts. All the activity starts.
Greg asked a really good question. Greg from all.the.weird on Instagram. He says, Doug, I need to ask, do you still go to or plan on returning to Snellgrove Lake?
Absolutely. The first chance I get. Yeah. We have gone back after the show. We've had activity every time.
Wow.
Yep. And violent activity.
Really?
There's
Can
one
you elaborate on that?
Yeah, there's one person that went with me that I asked them if they'd go again, and they said, "Are you kidding? Are you nuts? Are you insane?" It was literally, am I insane for asking them again?
Wow.
So, and all we ever do when we go there, and if anybody wants to go up there, just do some wood knocks.
Okay.
That's it. That's all we've ever done. And then the activity starts about 2 a.m. They'll start throwing stuff at the cabin. And then if you leave something out there for them, they'll throw that object at the cabin with force that you've never experienced. Or if there isn't anything, they'll grab a piece of cordwood and throw it at the cabin.
Oh, man. So we're talking like Ape Canyon type stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's happened so consistently that I asked my son about going up, and even he's, believe it or not, he's 30 years old now, and he's feels reluctant. He was so traumatized up there.
Interesting.
He feels so helpless. Because in most cases we've never had a weapon. And so in the cabin, you're going into Canada. If you're a U.S. citizen, it's pretty tough to get a weapon in.
Well, I mean, I guess you got a point. Yeah. From what I hear, I want to take a few minutes to shout out a few people. We got Greg replies that, hey, you can count me in, Doug. There you go. Our friend Alex says, hey, Doug's the man. He's inspired countless researchers in this current generation, and not only searching for Sasquatch, but cryptids more broadly. Keep being awesome, Doug. Nice words there.
They're appreciated.
Let's see. Breaking Bigfoot says, great show indeed. Good stuff. And Hey Strangeness says, hey, I was literally just thinking Ape Canyon. Yeah, for sure, dude. Before I had this thought that keeps bouncing in and out of my head as we're talking. Do you have any thoughts about the push to clone woolly mammoths? Have you been reading on this at all? Like, what are your... I feel like you have been thinking about happen.
Oh yeah, I'm literally in weekly contact with some of the top people, and there's no doubt it's going to happen. And I think it's awesome. I wouldn't want things to escape into the wild necessarily, unless things are, in other words, I don't think we should breed dinosaurs.
No.
Release them back into the wild. It's a different time.
No.
But could they possibly bring back mammoths up to the Arctic? Yeah, because they didn't die off that long ago. It really was pretty contemporary history when they're, when they're gone. And we don't know why they went extinct.
Yeah,
exactly. It could have been a cataclysmic event.
That's true.
And so we maybe need them. Certainly they would have, people talk about climate change, and big heavy animals keep the ice pack from melting. The permafrost. And so just that alone, not having mammoths all over the Arctic, could contribute to global warming. Just because
that's nuts to think about. Yeah.
Yep.
Huh. So you're thinking like this is going to happen 100%.
Oh God,
like this could totally happen.
If you knew some of the stuff I know right now,
oh man,
I even heard tonight, is freaky. I mean, there's animals being born right now in complete glass tubes from they've never seen the uterus of an animal. They're just,
jeez, dude,
totally enclosed in tubes, and and they're already on second generations of those
second
animals
generation
that were born in a glass beaker are now having kids of their own, offspring of their own, and they're all doing fine.
That's going to be an awesome show when you come out with that. I know you mentioned that earlier. That's going to be
a TV
pretty
series.
Fascinating.
It's going to be a TV series. And once again, we're trying. I mean, we're in talks with numbers of networks. I'm represented by 4 of the top agents. Doesn't mean anything. It's tough. TV business is tough there, Jeremiah.
That's what I hear. I haven't got, I'm sticking with the I forgot to mention, Doug, there's so many things I could mention about you, but you have your own podcast as well. Yes. Do you mind sharing with the so it's not just the people on YouTube. Again, this will be made into a podcast. And so share with my listeners a little bit about your podcast as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's been just about a year now. Somebody from iHeartRadio, my partner, Joel Sturgis, just said, hey, do you want to do a podcast? And I turned around and said, sure, let's do it. And that's the rest is history. Right away. And it just covers pretty much the entire gamut of
it does
mysteries and stuff. So I don't like to put it in any one shell because I'm too ADD to try to focus on one topic. So we're just kind of see where it goes. Yeah, see where it goes. But it's called Untold Radio AM.
Very cool. Very cool. And your co-host is a little bit more into the paranormal. So you guys kind of work together and you make a good duo.
Yeah, so, I think we do. And we have fun.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Yep. Let's talk about the great documentary. Actually, sorry, before Tate just asked a really good question before we do. Is there a chance MonsterQuest will ever come back?
Of course.
That's the man himself.
Of course.
Yeah? For real?
Sure. Yeah, I've talked to the we've had talks.
All right.
So I mean, it's it already was brought back once under Ancient MonsterQuest.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Donnie Wahlberg.
Donnie Wahlberg
replaced me on that series. So rib out to Donnie.
Yeah, there you go.
But no, we've talked, and there's always a chance. Absolutely. And I'd do it in a heartbeat, of course.
Also, the other cool thing that I had in my notes was you made a scale model of the future iteration of the Cryptozoology Museum. Yeah. International Cryptozoology Museum.
You want to see it?
Yeah, totally. We want to see it.
Hold on. Oh, great.
All right. Yeah, let's make it happen. Greg says New Kids on the Block, Donnie. Yeah, totally. Oh, here we go. Oh, wow. So podcast listeners, you're going to have to go to the YouTube video to see this. See what we got here. So
this is live.
Doug is bringing over the model.
My earpiece back in so I can hear you, Jeremiah.
Oh, yep.
Hold this up. But yeah, this is, let's see, what can you, we're getting reflection. Okay. I got to take it out of the case. It's just bouncing.
And the other cool thing is you've got some stellar photos of this on your Facebook too.
Oh yeah.
So people can check that out as well.
Way cooler in person.
It's very cool. Okay, here we go. Wow.
So it's just.
So what is this? What is this made out of?
I built it out of cardstock.
Okay. My goodness, Doug.
Not very good lighting, but so
that's cool.
It features. There's a waterfall in the front when you come in.
Yep.
It's not a giant building. We're talking, 6,000, 7,000 square feet. And it's got a little concession out. Yeah, everything's backwards. It's freaking me out.
It's got the bubble on the side. I remember from the pictures where you can see like the Loch Ness Monster, right?
There will be an aquarium there, which is
very cool.
Using special effects, but there'll be a captured Nessie in an aquarium, and you can view it from the outside of the building. And Nessie, of course, will be swimming and so on. And it'll be a cool building. Yeah, the lighting's pretty bad here.
So. I can only hope that this will one day actually happen.
It will.
Fingers crossed.
I'm behind it. All
right.
I'm pushing.
All right. Yeah.
Lauren needs it. He needs it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been to where it is now, and like they need an actual building. They really do.
Yeah. And
they make it work, but
it needs to be done. I think about all Lauren did for me in the early days, and how much I feel I owe him, both in his books and getting, I mean, he had the first book that when I was looking for answers, got Lauren's book, Cryptozoology A to Z. And
so that was like your go-to when you were doing Lauren research. I mean, of course.
He was my idol when I was, younger. And I remember reading about the Thunderbird case.
Lawndale, Illinois.
Yep, where the boy was grabbed by the Thunderbird.
Yep,
classic. And of course, it was just a hoot to be there and do a recreation of a kid being lifted up for MonsterQuest. It was just stuff like that. That's awesome. Kind of weird how everything goes full circle.
You never know the connections you make when they'll come back. I want to talk definitely. So the documentary that is just stellar, of course, Sasquatch Legend Meets Science. What's the history of how that came about? I'm curious.
Sure. Well, we did Legend Meets Science, back in, I hear all sorts of different times, 2001, let's say. And that really, in many ways, was a landmark because the whole thing was just pure science. No one had ever done that.
Yeah.
It actually still is very relevant today. Nothing's really changed. But back in those days, I mean, people were wowed. Oh, latent details and footprints, stats on footprint length compared to human shoe sizes. Does this going to show a living population as a bell curve? Versus just spurious data, just things like that. Discovering the hernia on the leg, and and having biomechanics people look at it, and just on and on and on. But I've been wanting to do Legend Meets Science too forever. So I've been selecting and thinking about new categories for a long time. And so we're going to have 20 new, brand new categories of evidence.
Really?
These are new categories now. They're not
new. Oh my goodness!
It's not just new evidence. It's new evidence with a new category.
Oh wow!
And that's to me is going to certainly, I think, be the best documentary that's ever been done. But I think it'll be the best documentary ever done. Period. Until discovery happens.
Really? That's cool. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that is cool. Can you
talk about?
Can you give maybe a sneak peek about what maybe some of those categories might be? Or I don't.
Absolutely,
it's totally up to you.
There's always a fine line between having just people take your ideas and another network benefiting, or and then just wanting to get the information out to the public. So it can be tough. But one category that's really, really important, and that is skin oil.
Exactly.
And I don't know how many people have seen the new the things that we've written up on the Sasquatch alba vernix, which is basically waxy sebum that they seem to have. So we have wax in our skin oil on our hands. We have 60 types of wax on your hands right now. So if you analyze, if you smear that on glass and have it analyzed, you're going to find 60 different types of wax in there. So they call these skin surface lipids, right? There's a very complex chemical compound, things like triglycerides, right? Cholesterol. There's all sorts of ingredients in this.
Sure.
And believe it or not, all the other great apes have been analyzed, including humans.
Okay.
But for years, I've been getting photos of dusty fingerprints. And one day, I think it was last July, my just went pink. You know, that the connection thing I talk about.
Yep.
We suddenly went, that ain't dust. Oh my God, that's not dust. It's thick wax. It's like a vernix. Like if you have any kids and your baby was born, it's covered with this very waxy protective coating. It's like that.
Exactly.
And I went, oh my God. Oh, and then we tried to collect it. We did. It was easy. They love touching things that are shiny, glossy. So it's not hard to get them to touch. So if you have a gifting area, you know, where they're leaving food, and that's cool.
Sure. Yeah.
Or they're moving objects, that's cool. But get them to collect. Now you can collect 3D evidence. One, you can get a photo of the fingerprints. You can collect with a Q-tip the actual sebum for DNA and molecular ingredients in the sebum. So I'm always looking for things. What can other scientists duplicate? So let's say I'm going to be presenting sebum samples from all over the country from these things, okay?
Sure.
With photographic evidence, even with sweat pores that you can see in the photos.
Oh, wow.
Not hard. It's not easy to fake. You know, all the fingerprints. Fingerprints are one of the most difficult things you can ever fake. So now you've got the latent details. You have the DNA that's going to be in the skin oil. It's going to be sloughed off skin cells like crazy in this, especially if it's as waxy as I think it is. And then you're going to have the chemical compounds. You've got 3 pieces of evidence that every one of us have overlooked since research started. So I think that's a big deal.
Oh man, yeah,
that's
totally a huge deal.
I don't think I want to get people's light bulbs to go off. That's a huge deal.
Man.
Do you have any idea? Like, I just got another one today, another photo, big, greasy, whitish gray fingerprints on a window. They're huge. And of course, they're just this whitish gray coating. It's very hard to get off, actually. Well, then in talking to zookeepers, they keep gorillas, right? I have meetings on a regular basis with zookeepers.
Oh, that's cool.
And they're like, because we figured out all on our own, this stuff's really hard to remove. It'll go through a car wash. It'd still be there. And so I presented the question to a zookeeper who's interested in the Bigfoot mysteries, a number of them. And they're like,
there is,
we can't even get the crap off from the gorillas on the windows. This white
wow.
And so you go ding, 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 ding. Everything just connects, you know?
Yep.
And then one of the guys goes, oh, did you, I bet you there's no literature on it. When they get agitated, they get this white, thick, waxy crap that comes out of their armpits. He said it even bubbles. They'll start bubbling. Gorillas with these huge, big white bubbles under their armpits. Yes. Nobody knows about this stuff. Remember, in the beginning of this podcast, I talked about all the things we don't know.
Exactly.
We don't even know what we don't know. And so that's just, one of the dot connections that I've made.
Oh, man.
That will be in the doc. And not only be in it, but be in it very thoroughly.
Awesome.
We'll have and we're going to see where it lands on the chart. Right? Are we going to prove Bigfoot exists? No. What we're going to do is be able to prove to scientists this topic not only can be studied, but you can go do it yourself. And maybe then at this point, other scientists then can get some of the grants that they need and some of the money they need to pursue it. But that's one of many that will be in this. That will be a first. People will ever hear about it.
Man, remember, 1 of 20.
We're all researchers, but what about the average guy that's just casually heard about the Bigfoot mystery when he's watching it? What's it going to do to him? See, that's what I'm really after, those guys. So I'm after the regular, people who can, the masses, basically, to get people's light bulbs to go off. And 20 different categories. So that's
you just getting the next generation is really what it comes down to.
That's
it's awesome.
Right.
It's very, very cool.
And I'm working with Justin from Mountain Beast Monsters.
Yep, exactly.
Pesky, and he's an amazing filmmaker. But I think we really kind of need each other right now.
Okay.
And I think that's going to work out really good. And so the film will not only be extremely scientific, going to have a ton of light bulb moments, but I think it'll be a beautiful film too.
So I'm excited to hear that.
I think I kind of missed out on some of that with Legend Meet Science 1. The beauty and you know what I mean?
I get it. Yeah.
Sure. And so I have a lot of regrets on that film from that standpoint. But on the same token, I really want it all with this one.
Well, it's swing, like, I think the first one was amazing, but like it sounds like you're gonna knock it out of the park even further with this one. I mean, the names you have on that poster, every name on that poster is just like, oh wow, like solid.
There'll be a lot more scientists that will be going on that poster.
That's awesome.
Before we start filming, and we actually have started filming, but we haven't broke ground on the Kickstarter campaign, which we're going to need for all these lab tests.
Totally, yeah.
They're not cheap, and if everybody can just contribute a tiny bit, I think the money won't be going into my pocket. It'll be going to the scientists to get the answers that we need on DNA. We're going to get a DNA baseline set.
Wow.
Very confident we're going to be able to do that this time through this show.
A lot of people have been, asking in different circles, is there any idea when the Kickstarter, is there a time frame for when that might
soon. It should be soon.
Should be soon. Okay.
Yep.
Very cool. And Greg also asks tentative release for the project, or really maybe more one step at a time.
Well,
get the Kickstarter funded.
But I would like to shoot for next September.
Okay, cool.
At the end of next September.
Very nice.
Be available, or it may end up, on a big network too. Yep.
Yeah, that is cool. It's hard to find. I was looking for a refresher of Sasquatch Legend Meets Science. It's hard to find it. I think I found some random YouTube clip or something, but thankfully the memories were still there. But that needs to be available to more people, I think, but maybe someday,
Yeah, and I'd certainly, am excited to the fact too that Jeff Meldrum, I had a long conversation with Jeff, and I said, everybody can pressure him. I said, Jeff, and you're going to write the book.
Yeah.
Legend Meets Science too.
Totally.
Look Jeff right in the eye, and Jeff goes, yeah, I've already talked to my wife.
Oh boy. So, it's go time then. Yeah, if you had the wife talk, it's go time. That's awesome.
So we're hoping that there'll be a companion, in Legend Meets Science book is the most amazing science book ever written on the topic.
It's the book. Yep. Yeah, it totally is. Totally is.
So if we can get two, just to get the book published, it'll be worth it.
Well, I mean, it's a thing where, like, with Kickstarter, the sky is literally the limit. You never know. You never know.
And I don't know what kind of support we're going to get, but we're going to need it. There's no doubt. Because even in my talks with networks, they're really gun shy about spending all this money on, lab tests. Just makes them wince.
Well, the cool thing about the current culture is, living in a day where there are things like Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and if the community wants to see something made and the opportunity is made out there, people will throw. I mean, movies have been made because the community is like, okay, here's all the monies in the world,
right. Yep.
make it happen. So yeah,
well,
totally.
we're gonna be in most cases, I think we're only gonna be paying lab costs. We're not gonna pay any profit. It's just for raw materials at the labs.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I will say that people in the audience, if there's any other questions, I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up as we are coming on an hour. I've got a fun one that's in here. Actually, let me do a quick check. What do you think about this from Greg? So how do you feel about a theory that Nessie is the ghost of an aquatic dinosaur?
Totally open to it. And the reason I'm open to it is I once saw a giant deer at the side of the road.
Okay.
Very brief, 2-3 second sighting. I was in a hurry to get where I was going. So I was traveling up to Canada. And there was something I knew damn well it wasn't a moose. And it had a huge flat antlers, and it had a very curved nose that was upswept. And this thing was 12 feet tall, 11 feet tall. I mean, it was massive.
Okay.
And the person I was riding with, I described it as being as tall as an elephant. It's almost as big as an elephant. And I know moose, like very well. This was not a moose. And then it hit me, and I thought, did I just see a ghost of a prehistoric deer?
No way.
So then I go back. So when I got back home, I started researching prehistoric deer.
Okay.
There was the exact animal I'd seen. And I know damn well there's a prehistoric deer running around in the woods.
Oh, man.
I think I saw I don't know how to put it. So when he tells, when he asks us, time is, when I say ghost, no, I don't necessarily think a ghost, but I think it could be a dimensional,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
cross, that just a glitch that happens because there was a sunspot that day, or a solar flare, or God knows what magnetic energy that zoomed in from another galaxy. And it just caused some kind of time warp.
Man, it's crazy to think about, but that's pretty cool.
People can believe my story.
Yeah.
They cannot believe it.
Sure.
Where am I going to get the exact description of a giant deer, a prehistoric deer, when I had never seen a photo of one, never seen a drawing of one? And then it was the exact, right down to the nose, this hollowed out, kind of upturned nose. And it had this flat, it's really a weird, very distinct head that I saw on it.
That's wild.
So yeah, I mean, that could explain Bigfoot. For all we know, we don't know.
There's something to think about.
The point is, we don't know what we don't know. So I'm just very humble. Just stay humble. Don't ever, act like you know it all. Keep pursuing answers and whatever you've got to work with, but don't come to conclusions, people. Just don't. It's so bad. It's just the worst thing you can do is come to a conclusion.
Keep open.
As soon as you come to a conclusion, you're done learning.
Exactly. There's a few questions that I like to ask everyone that I'm able to interview. So someone asks you, what is Bigfoot? What are you telling them?
It's a big, hairy creature, ape-like creature that people keep seeing.
Okay.
Over and over and over. And they see it in very specific areas where there's woods, water, and hills, all three, or at least two of those ingredients. And it's not going, and I tell people, this mystery is never going away. No. So you can act like you don't believe it and you're all skeptical, but I'm going to tell you, it's just going to keep being in your face. That's so awesome. Either join forces, start researching it, but don't just debunk it. Don't dismiss it, because when something is fueled as much as the Bigfoot mystery is daily, I mean, I think the numbers are as high as in the thousands of witnesses per day. Wow. Brief, non-eventful sightings. What the heck was that walking down the railroad track? That big black thing, as somebody drives down the freeway, those types of things. I'm not talking about full-on encounters, but
Sure.
I'll bet you there's at least 1,000 a day of those kind of encounters, where someone's just driving down the freeway and they look to the right and they see a big black thing walk along the barbed wire fence.
Yeah, exactly.
Just boosh, 2 seconds. I think there's 1,000 a day of those.
Do you have people contacting you all the time being like, oh, hey, Doug, I know you're the MonsterQuest guy. Yep. Check this out. That happen a lot?
I do. Yeah. Every day. And I try to help everybody. And
that's awesome.
Try to, talk to people I can and look at photos and look at video and, giving them my private opinion.
Exactly.
Private. Yep.
Yeah.
So no, it's a mystery, Jeremiah, that's never going to go away.
I think you're exactly right. Do you answers? Looking at so many different types of evidence over the years, especially with Sasquatch Legend Meets Science 1 and 2, do you have a favorite, or what do you consider the top evidence for Bigfoot in your opinion, or maybe a favorite one?
We have so much.
It's a super loaded question.
Literally, we have piles of evidence.
I know.
It's piled up. It's piled up, past my roof. And it's just, it's more of a lack of people willing to study it than a lack of evidence.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that's what we're doing. And I'm trying to take things, for instance, there's details in footprint casts that have never been looked at. Numerous details that you can only see with an electronic microscope. How many people here, raise your hand, who have an electron scanning microscope in your basement?
I'm going to guess that'll be you. Not you?
No, not even me.
Oh, all right, okay.
But I know people.
I know I don't.
I know.
Oh, you know? Okay, yeah, gotcha, yeah.
And so there'll be electron scanning evidence, probably about 7 different new things that are going to blow people away.
Awesome.
Yep, and you cannot fake any of them.
I am pumped for it.
And there won't be one scientist that will be able to argue with any of it. They just won't be able to argue. Nope. You can't argue with facts like, oh, really? So this is the way this hair scale looks, and it's got these features, and human has these features. Oh, but look at this one little tiny feature that you can only see if you're very observant with an electron scanning microscope.
Gotcha.
Do you think things like that?
Do you think it's going to take an actual body for mainstreams, or let's say the U.S. in general, to accept, yes, it is real? No. Is it going to take that? No,
not even close. Nope.
Okay.
Nope. People say that, but that's a cop-out.
Sure.
No, we have enough evidence right now.
That's awesome. That is super exciting.
It just has to be presented and has to be, analyzed more.
Okay.
More scientists to be forced to look at what's already here. And then I think everybody will see, even with Legend Meets Science, like, no, we don't need a body.
Wow. That's huge.
What you need to do is you need to go out, because your job is to do taxonomy on new species. Your job is to get that $500,000 grant and do this, and this, and this.
Right,
and
exactly.
Go do your taxonomy. Yeah.
Oh, man, that is awesome. Do you have a favorite cryptid encounter story?
Oh, God. I had to think. Why? Do you know how your mind goes blank sometimes?
Oh, I totally got you. Yeah.
You have a senior moment. It just goes.
Yep. I'm getting there.
I have had. So probably, the favorite one was one that was totally unexpected. Being the fact I've traveled all over the world and done all sorts of places and gone on just tons of expeditions. So I'm driving back from up north in my car with Yvette, and we're driving back along the road, and here's what we think is a giant moose on the side of the road waving its antlers.
Okay.
So we get closer. No, it's not a moose. It's way too big for a moose. And we get closer, And then we see arms and fingers, and we see the long hair hanging off
what
arms. And we slow down as slow as we can because it's Friday, or no, it's Sunday night. Everybody's coming back from up north.
Sure.
There was a line of cars that saw this thing.
Whoa.
And no, it wasn't a hoax. I mean, this thing was at minimum 9 feet tall, huge, broad shoulders. I'm sure it was only there for 20 seconds.
No
but it
way.
was literally drying. It was drying off. You could see the hair was extremely clean. It was really windy. It was blowing in the wind. We could see the fingers because it was lit up in my bright headlights. And I was, we passed within 4 feet of it. We had a good look at it.
That's weird. Yeah, that's good. That's pretty good, man.
Not anything else. I mean, it was just, but it had its back turned to us. So we got, we got the backside, but I suppose somebody could have, built something that could have done that, but there was too much movement. We could see the muscles, literally the headlights lit the muscles and the skin under the hair.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So no, there's no way it was fake. And we just went into a state of shock, both of us.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
We just literally went. And the first thing I did was I pulled over, after maybe, half a mile, I pulled over. And there's barely any shoulder. I almost went down I almost fell into the ditch with my car.
Oh, wow.
Because there's no shoulder, which is why I didn't immediately pull over to begin with. And of course, looked at my GPS in my car, and there was a stream that runs into Mille Lacs Lake in a state forest, right where we saw it, right at the base of the stream. And it looked like it had just taken a swim and was just trying to dry off before it went back into the forest.
Oh, boy.
In the wind, yeah.
This is, you said it is northern Minnesota?
Northern Minnesota on 169, yep.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's so many weird stories up in the North Woods, especially if you look in like these old like lumberjack stories, and like there's some weird stuff up there for sure.
Oh, yeah. Minnesota is definitely just as good of, habitat as anywhere.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing. That's really cool, Doug.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. For people, and we'll end with this question. Let's say there's people that are listening to this, younger generation that are just getting into cryptozoology. Maybe they're like, it seems like the thing today is like, I'll listen to a few podcasts. Maybe they stumbled upon this one. What advice do you have to the person who's just getting into like cryptozoology, weird stuff, fill in the blank?
One, there's a ton of stuff that you can do that's never been done. I don't care if you're 16 to 90. You're just getting into it. I mean, there's just so many things that have not been done.
Okay, that's cool.
Think about all of the different types of camera traps that have not been put in a certain area.
That's true.
Think of all the lures that have not been tried, the high cameras, lower cameras, buried cameras, decoy cameras, miniature cameras, giant cameras, long lens cameras that have never been tried. And then think about all the locations.
That's awesome. Yeah.
My best advice is curiosity will enhance your life. It will change your life. It will make you a much better person. Curiosity will completely alter everything that happens to you in a good way. I
love that. That is such a good quote, Doug. That's solid. And it's truth too. It's solid truth.
Yep.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome.
Aaron from Hayes Strange says, really awesome show. Thank you for hanging out. My dude. Greg says, thanks for answering my questions. Great show. Thanks, Greg. Doug, this has been super fun. Thank you for hanging out. I wanted to bring up to the listeners, you're actually going to be at a Bigfoot conference, right? Coming up in the next month or so?
Yes. In October, I'm going to be up in Grand Rapids.
Mm-hmm.
And Abe Del Rio is putting on it's the second annual conference up in Grand Rapids. Jeff Meldrum will be there, Russell Accord, Cliff, and myself.
And that's a solid lineup that we do not get in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Often. Like, that is an opportunity.
Get in your car, Jeremiah, and drive up. I'd love to.
Doug, I'm thinking of, like,
it's not that far.
I know it's not that far. It's like, well, okay. It's
Do
like,
you know how many times I've driven to Des Moines? Tons.
I know.
See,
I know. Am I listening to myself right now? I will seriously consider it, Doug. It's probably like, what is it? 5? I'll look it up.
From the border, it's probably about 6 hours from the border, from the Iowa border.
Right.
It's not that
I'll
far.
seriously consider it.
Hang out.
It'd be a good time for sure.
Yep.
And a way to meet people that I've interviewed Dr. Meldrum, I've interviewed Cliff. It would be cool to meet them in person for sure. So.
Yep. And my mind went blank on the dates.
I think it's like October 4th, maybe.
Right. Right. And
it's
only a 1-day conference.
Yeah, it's a one and done. So, which is cool.
Yep.
What are ways? This is funny. Thanks, Greg. Doug, are you going to the Van Meter Visitor Festival?
No, I'm not, but I'm very, very much aware of the Van Meter mystery.
That's my cryptid.
That was one of the creepy things that really probably made me afraid to go outside in the dark when I was really young.
Is a Van Meter Visitor?
Yeah. It's just
really.
It's a creepy story.
Oh, that affected you as a young.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
And did you grow up in Minnesota then, or?
Yeah, I grew up in Minnesota. Yep, been here my whole life.
And the story traveled all the way up there.
Oh God, yes. Yeah, really? It made art paper.
Sure.
Tribune, and it's things like that. And my dad used to read me Charles Fort, for a Batman story, which he knew I was interested in mysteries, and so that was like my favorite book. Hey, I'd go get the Charles Fort. Well, he had probably every Charles Fort book ever read. Then my dad would read me those books, and like every kid, I think a little wholesome fear is good for you. It's wholesome fear. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I got you.
Fear combined with curiosity, it can do wonders for you. Because trust me, I had no interest in math. I had no interest in spelling and English, but I was just interested in wildlife and mysteries, and
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, one day you'll have to make it down to the Van Meter Visitor Festival. It's a good time. This year, it's a one-day event too. This year, we're actually going to have some bigger names there. We're going to have Ken Gearhart, David Weatherly, Nash Hoover's going to be there. Jay Pachochin from up in Wisconsin.
Yep.
He's a Bigfoot guy up there, but some solid people. I mean, Midwest likes to represent at that festival, so it's a good time.
Yeah.
What
are the dates, Jeremiah? I'm going to write them down.
It is September 25th.
Oh, okay. It's coming up real quick.
Oh yeah, it's actually next week.
Next week, yeah. It's already the 18th and the 19th, 17th.
Okay. Tate is sneaking one last question in. Here we go. Does Doug think there could be Sasquatch in Iowa? This is actually a really good question.
Yeah, I do. Along the rivers. Yes.
Totally.
Especially in the northeast corner, for sure.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Do I think that they're maybe never traveling through the middle of Iowa cornfields? No, I think they probably could. If there's a creek or a good river that would flow, sure, absolutely. But they're going to stick to that corridor.
Oh yeah, and you've got tons of reports about it's not exactly northeast Iowa, but it's like Jefferson County. There were a lot of Bigfoot sightings in the 1970s.
Yeah, no, and I think
it's crazy.
During, there could be some natural event like, fires in Minnesota that could chase them out, and they'd have to travel to Iowa. I think that they might travel to Iowa along any river just to get south, in the winter. I do think that they do travel with the food availability, I think they're all different. I think there's probably no pattern you could pin on every single Bigfoot.
It will be interesting to see if the pattern of fires in the western coast affects it so that they start to leave, or if I don't know,
Yeah, it could happen.
I don't know.
We don't even know what we don't know.
That's true. We don't.
Open mind, but common sense prevails. These things have to travel, and no doubt they come through Iowa. There's no doubt in my mind.
Totally. Oh, that's good. Good stuff. Doug, what are, do you mind running through different ways? Let's say if this is their first interaction with you, how can people keep up to date with what you're doing? Just
go to my Facebook page. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And cool. I try to keep that pretty well updated. I just joined Facebook in November. So I haven't been on it very long. So it's been interesting.
You put some really good stuff up though. So definitely, people should check your Facebook profile. I'll put it in the show notes for this as well. I'll link it. Yep. And then I want to say that is it Untold Radio AM.com?
Correct. Yes.
I want to say, because you have a lot of really good stuff on there. I mean, we didn't even mention you have a publishing company. You are all over the place doing amazing stuff for the community, and like the books that you have coming out are really cool. I can't wait to see them.
Yeah, we're doing enhanced books.
Yeah.
To where, like, for instance, the Owl Moon Lab.
Mm-hmm.
There's 42 video clips in the printed book.
That's awesome.
People are like, well, how's that work? All you need is a phone. You just throw it over the QR code, your camera, and it starts playing all these evidence, video and audio. But we're going to be doing enhanced covers. We've been experimenting with some really cool covers, all sorts of new enhancements that have never been seen in print books. So
that is cool. And then you've got Bigfoot influencer coming out from one of your authors, which I think is a really cool idea.
And it's going to feature.
That'd be a fun idea.
Yep, all the top Bigfoot researchers. And Tim won't quit, so he's going to break it down to states and regions and.
Oh, geez.
So it's going to be really good because it's going to be great. It's going to be a great resource for the public too, because those 1,000 witnesses I told you that probably happened.
Yeah.
And remember, everybody, don't come down on me. It's brief, bunk. They saw it out of the corner of their eye type thing. But
right.
That does get people interested in this mystery because they do wonder. They'll be able then to go to one of Tim's books and go, oh, here are the 5 people that live.
Oh, that's really okay. That's really nice. Yeah.
Yep. And then you get to know him a little bit to go, oh, this guy seems like a nice guy because he likes fishing. So do I. So whatever. They call him.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
Yep.
Man. So definitely check out Doug's Facebook, and he posts a lot of really cool stuff on there. If you're into cryptozoology and stuff, definitely.
I try not to post personal stuff there. I just tend to keep it with the research, and
that's good. It's good. I want to say thanks again for everyone in the chat who's hanging out with us. Great questions tonight, and a big thanks again to Doug Hajicek for hanging out with us. Appreciate everything you do, and community is pumped for the what you come out with in the future, and we're behind you. So thanks again, Doug.
Let's do it again, Jeremiah.
Awesome. Very good.
Awesome to talk to you.
Very good. All right. Thanks so much, all. Have a good one.